What kind of crazy, desolate wasteland is this? Wait a minute. It's no wasteland. It's a mining town. Old mining town in the west. That's right. We are in the historic town of Bodie, California. Old mining slash ghost town that is 100% abandoned and still preserved today for onlookers as part of the California State Park system. We've seen quite a few ghost towns here in the Old West area, California, Nevada, Arizona. However, Bodie is unique because, one, it is completely removed from civilization. It is a long drive here, the last 3 or so miles of which are a washboarded out dirt road, not too easy to get to. And as you can tell by my surroundings, it's not real crowded either. In fact, I think there was one other person here and he was in the parking lot. So we are about 13 miles off of Highway 395, somewhere near Mono Lake, a little bit north of Bishop. And this is at elevation. Even though we did get a pretty beautiful day for this exploration, it is quite cold. See much of the ground snow in the shaded areas here, so don't let the sun fool you. It's cold. As you can see, many of these buildings are just completely preserved from the way they were found. This became a state park in the 1960s, but by 1930, the town was completely abandoned. I mean, this really looks like the set of like an old Western movie, but it's not. This is the actual church where the people of Bodie would have congregated for their various religious services. Look, all the pews are still in there. There's a heater over there. The original organ. Just crazy how well it's been preserved. So the story goes that in the 1870s, gold ended up being discovered in some of these nearby mountains here. And pretty much overnight, Bodie became a complete boom town slash mining town. And very quickly exploded into a city of more than 10,000 residents at its height. However, due to several big fires that ended up laying waste to much of this town, and Bodie became a ghost town almost as quickly as it became a boom town. And in the 1960s, the state park system in California decided to preserve this area, turn it into a state park. They do a little bit of maintenance to make sure the buildings aren't falling down, but other than that, everything has pretty much stayed the same. Still got some of the old plank sidewalks around. And there are a few brick and mortar style buildings here. Now, this city would have been much, much larger than we see it today. The old signage that remains. This one here, God, you can't even, just a little rusty piece of metal. Actually, that might just be some siding, but old gold cigarettes. Look at all the goods on the shelves. All the, like, random tools they would have had. That old-timey cash register. Man, this place would be so creepy at night. So this brick structure here on closer inspection, pretty certain was once a saloon. And as you can see, we still got the bar right there with the little stools and everything. There's even some old-timey bottles left on there. That has not been used in many years. Who knows who the last guy to have a drink there would have been. Possible miner, possible prostitute. Maybe one of each. It really is something to just walk through here in this very quiet. It is almost dead silent out here. There's maybe 2 other people in the entire park. But to walk through here and just imagine this place, for one, about 20-fold bigger than we see it today, but thousands and thousands of people here, a huge booming town with bordellos and opium dens, saloons. Yeah, Bodie had it all. Still just so many preserved structures. There's an interesting one. I think this looks like it might have been an old schoolhouse or something. I'm going to go in and check it out. Oh, yeah. I see the desks. Yeah, look at that. Crazy, the old desks are still here and chalkboards. Hard to see, but that's like some kind of little Halloween decoration. Look at this old globe. Look at that. You just don't see this level of preservation at most ghost towns. It's not entirely uncommon to see old buildings like this. You see them along the side of old highways and such in California, but typically they've been vandalized and completely destroyed. Not in Bodie, though. Some of these buildings have been mildly renovated, but a lot of them just sit just how they might have decades and decades ago. Typically what they do with these old towns is, people still live in them. They turn them into, I don't want to say tourist traps, but perhaps a tourist destination, you might even say. They build up the bars and everything and the houses. Everything's safe to walk around in. There's internet. Basically a normal town. Bodie has none of that. There is nothing here but a small percentage of the remaining structures, a little state park, and a whole bunch of cool history. See the church way down there that we started at. Working our way up the hill here. Still stretches on a good bit. This would have gone on for miles. At least 10 times to 20 times as many structures. Just a trip. I mean, this could have been the porch of like a family that lived here. And look what it looks like today. Sitting the way it would have been just when it was abandoned. It's definitely one of the nicer homesteads I've seen here. Still got old wallpaper and the paint. A lot of them are just little shacks, but this person might have been wealthy in those days. I understand there were still people living in Bodie till about 1930, but overnight this went from the big boom town that it was to basically just a few residents, and by then there wasn't even a school operating or anything. It was just a few stragglers who'd stuck around. Over here, the remnants of one of the larger mining operations in Bodie. I find it interesting that a lot of the houses over here have these nice brick chimneys that a lot of the other structures did not have. Suggests that perhaps a little bit more of the money was over on this side of town, and that does look a lot nicer than most of the houses here. This house here, if I'm not mistaken, that does look like some old 19th century glass. You see right there, the imperfections? Could be the real thing. Noticed a lot of the nicer houses still have remnants of wallpaper, other fixtures. Yeah, definitely get the vibe up on this hill was where a little bit more of the money was. Noticed all these houses typically have wallpaper still inside. A lot of windows you can peep in, and a lot of them, people have stacked rocks, so you can kind of, even if you're not super tall, climb up there and take a look. See just the wallpaper peeling off from just at least a century ago. Still a little table, little family might have eaten at. Chairs, just crazy. Perfect preservation of Old West history. I understand you can go back into the mine. During certain seasons they offer guided tours through there. However, right now it is off limits and probably for my own safety. Even in just broad daylight, this place is creepy. I don't think you could pay me to come here at night. Oh, just no way. Way too desolate, way too preserved. Like some sort of post-apocalyptic kind of thing. But that was just living and dying by the minerals you're pulling out of the mountain. Once they're gone, people don't stick around. However, much of the original mining equipment can still be found here today. So you can see these cables just left here, like someone finished a day's work and just left town for good. A lot of the buildings just left in every stage of decay one could imagine. As I said, there were some pretty massive fires that broke across Bodie, destroying many of its remaining structures. And with that in mind, that is why I look at these and think to myself, bank vault. That was immediately my first thought, and on closer inspection, this indeed would have been one of the old banks in Bodie. Pause here and read about Mr. James Cain if you'd like. Like I said, a lot of money in this town, so it only makes sense that there would have been a bank vault. And this is what's left of it today. And if we look inside, you can actually see the safe Look at that. With the handles and everything. Yep. Super old 19th century safe from a legit mining boomtown. This building here, which the signage is long gone, appears to have been some kind of gaming hall. Let's take a look in this one here, because that is a slot machine. And yeah, look at that. Old roulette wheel. Got the bar there in the back, the piano. And there was a little slot machine right over here. Yeah, this likely would have been where they spent some of that hard-earned money. Let loose a little bit. Talk about walking in the footsteps of history. This is exactly where old Bodie residents would have wandered around, raised their families, worked, prayed, basically everything. Probably did some crazy drugs and alcohol too. Opium was big. I was wondering what this was. I saw the bell and I thought, church? That doesn't look like a church. And indeed, it is not. This is their old firehouse. Complete with antique firefighting wagons. Look at that. God, the little one's even still got the hose on it. That thing looks old. Ladders and whatnot. Love this old mining cart. Cool little piece of history left over. Very, very Indiana Jones. And a little bit Donkey Kong Country. Many a preserved outhouse still lingering. In fact, this one here appears to have a fairly modern sign. Let's see if this is a real commode. Ah! It totally is. Wasn't expecting that. Checking out some of these prints here in the snow. I don't know what lingers around here. But that and that, those are some very big paw prints. Look at this. What in the world is that? I have not seen anything out here but rats and squirrels. Another well-preserved one. Possibly some other type of gaming hall. Because in here I see pool table. Alright, pool table. Looks like a big old dinner table, perhaps. Certainly a bar. Looks like a place I'd hang out in. Man, what an amazing chapter of history. Like I said, this is very much off the beaten path. Depending where you're watching this from, it's probably not a real practical trip. But if you find yourself road tripping up the 395, up the eastern side of California, not too far out of the way. About an hour's drive detour, 30 minutes each way, give or take. Plus then, an hour or two just to explore crazy old Bodie. Where some little family would have made their home. Picket fence and all. Look at this cute little fenced off yard. These porches. People would have chilled back in the day and looked down on the mine they probably worked at. As someone who loves old ghost towns and has seen quite a few of them, Bodie stands on its own. There is nothing like this I've ever seen in my life. I'm not sure that it even exists in this part of the planet. But it is time to be heading back to the car. Sun is coming down and this place gets pretty darn cold. Jesus, the size of this freaking wheel. This thing's crazy. Bodie, it has been a fun visit. This place is unlike anything else in the world I have ever seen. But it is time to make the arduous journey back to the highway along this very bumpy dirt road. Ugh. Yeah, back on Highway 395 here, just south of the Bodie turnoff. That's Mono Lake, see there behind me. Definitely a pretty nice viewpoint from up here. This is one of the official vista points along 395. If you're ever looking to see some beautiful backcountry parts of California, 395 is a road trip everybody should do at one point in their life. So, appreciate you joining me for part of it here, checking out Bodie with me. Thanks again.